Okay, we're going to go ahead and get started here. I want to welcome everyone to the Lunch and Learn meeting for the Bluegrass Council of the Blind for August 2021. And today we have a couple of different guests here talking to us about some ways that we can get involved and maybe stay fit. And our first guest will be from the Lexington Parks and Recreation Department. We have Brent and Sydney joining us today. I'll go ahead and turn it over to them and let them do their presentation and introduce themselves a little further and give us their background. Thanks so much for being with us today.
Thank you, and we sure do appreciate this opportunity. My name is Brent Claiborne, and I work in the Department of Therapeutic Recreation in Parks and Recreation, and I've been in this position for about 11 years, and I really enjoy doing it. It took a while. I went from teaching physical education to special education, and this job opened up. And it just, it was a nice fit, and I'm glad I finally found something I really enjoyed doing. So, yeah, and this is, I'll let Sydney introduce herself and tell you guys a little bit about herself.
Hi guys, I'm Sydney, obviously. So I'm currently a senior at EKU, majoring in recreation and park administration with a concentration in therapeutic recreation. So that's what drew me to entering here with Brent under our supervisor, Jill Farmer, just being involved in all of the programs that we're going to have going on this fall and helping to plan those and implement all of those. And I'm excited to see all that go into place.
Before we get to the fall, wanted to briefly touch upon this past summer. We had 6 weeks of summer camp. And we do provide summer camp for all ages. Our younger kids who are 5 to 12 year old kiddos, they meet at Castlewood, a little community center, a playground, and a pool area in Lexington. And then our older adults, or a little bit older adults, 13 to 19, they are at Woodland Park. And then our adults meet down here, 19 and older, or 20 and older, at the Dunbar Center. So we had a really nice time, somewhat challenging time at summer camp, but a fun time, and something that we've been doing for many years with our summer camps. So that being said, we'll go ahead and springboard to our fall and what we're getting ready to offer in the fall. Right now, we have our horsemanship program that's going on. It was supposed to be meeting today at 2 o'clock, but due to the heat, it has been canceled with the horses and the participants in mind and their health in mind. But so we have 2 horsemanship classes on Monday and 2 horsemanship classes on Wednesday, and these classes are very popular classes, and they fill up really quickly. So we have a lot of riders that benefit greatly from that program. We have a program in the fall as well as in the spring for our horseback riders. So you guys push pause or type a question in the chat, or if I get going too fast, just let me know. So horsemanship has already started. I'm just going to go down through our registration form. A lot of our programs are for young adults through adulthood, but we also have stuff for kiddos. One of the things that we're going to try to provide for kids is a kids connection, which is going to be on Friday evenings from 6 to 8, and it's for ages 5 to 10 years old. And it's just going to be a time where the parents can drop off their kiddo, and hopefully the parents can go out and either run errands, or if the parents want to go out on a date, they can do that. Or if they want to just go home and take a nap, they can do that as well. So we're really excited about, so far we've had two kiddos that have shown interest in this program. And if we get a couple of more, we should be able to do that. Then the next is a day trip. A lot of our young adults and adults enjoy taking trips in and around Lexington. And in October, we're going to Evans Orchard and going to the pumpkin patch and check out the apples and what the bees and learn about all kinds of things, eat a lunch out there at Evans Orchards. I believe that's in Georgetown. And we'll send out this registration form. We've sent out this registration form, and if you all, I can send it out to you all as well, and you can forward it to anybody that you may think is interested, would be interested in these programs. So another day program or a day trip that we're going to go on is in November. We normally go to Keeneland, and Keeneland's always very gracious and gives us tickets to come out to the races. But this year, our supervisor, Jill Farmer, is from Louisville. We're going to trek down to Louisville and go to Churchill Downs and experience Churchill Downs. So we look forward to doing that and going down there and possibly going to the Kentucky Derby Museum and then catching a few races there at Churchill Downs. So a couple other things that we enjoy doing in October and in December, we have a fall dance, which our participants dress up in costume and come out for our fall dance. And that's in October around Halloween. And then we have a holiday dinner dance in December where they dress up as well, and we try to get a Santa Claus to come by and wish everybody a Merry Christmas and have a dinner and then dance. We try to decorate for this, but I believe if we just turned on the music, everybody just enjoys getting out and having fun together and dancing together. So those are a few things that we do, day trips and dances. And then one thing, I was a physical education major in college. So one of the things we also provide for our participants and individuals in Lexington and surrounding counties is our adult fitness class, which meets on Tuesdays and Thursdays here at the Dunbar Center. So you normally spend an hour of time in the gymnasium learning or playing a sport like volleyball or baseball, football, basketball, you name it. We play 9 square in the air. We do all sorts of fun games in the gym. And then the second half of our time here at the Dunbar Center, we spend in the 2 weight rooms trying to burn as many calories as possible. And sometimes we say to the participants, those calories don't have a chance with us. So we haven't had fitness in several semesters due to the virus. We've done a few things on Zoom and exercised with our participants on the computer and watching different videos. So the calories have probably had a little bit more of a chance of late, but we're hoping to get back together with them starting in September and burn some calories. One of our new classes is an art class that's going to meet on Fridays, and we're really excited about our art class. So we've got a person that worked for us this summer by the name of Perla, and Perla is going to lead us in some art activities that she's come up with, and we really look forward to doing artwork with our folks, our participants. We have talent shows from time to time on Zoom, and it's amazing the things that they come up with that they're good at, and it really showcases their abilities. Bowling is something else we enjoy doing, and we get together a pretty good amount of people, 30 to 40 folks at Southland Bowling Lanes here in Lexington on Saturdays starting on September 11th from 1 to 3. And our folks really enjoy bowling and getting together. So we look forward to getting back to the bowling alley and bowling. Social artworking Sydney's an intern, and she's coming up with a project that she can tell you about as well. But one of the past interns came up with social artworking, and it is a program where Natalie Wright comes and she pre-draws some artwork on a canvas and then gives it to our participants. And then she leads us through on how to best paint that picture or whatever is pre-drawn on the canvas. And it's really cool. And our participants really enjoy getting together and doing another form of art and following the lead of Natalie. And some of them go a different direction, and that's okay. It's art, and it's fun. And we've been able to display some of their art at the downtown art gallery in Lexington, right above Alfalfa's, the restaurant Alfalfa's. And that was really cool. And to see a sense of pride in the participants, and that their work is in an art gallery that people in Lexington can come to see was really neat. So another one of our programs that we do, and then I'll push pause. You guys can ask questions, and then Sydney can tell us a little bit about the project that she would like to do, which is really cool. Is archery, and archery is going to be on Wednesdays starting up in September. And we do this at the Carver Community Center close to Rupp Arena. But our participants really enjoy archery. We normally do it in the winter, spring months, but it's been really popular. One of our participants and his grandmother often said in the past, "I wish you guys would provide archery year round, or in the fall semester and the spring semester." So Jill took them up on that, and we're doing some archery, and we'll have probably 10 to 12 persons trying to hone in on that on the bullseye and learn more about shooting crossbows and recurves and the compound bows that we shoot. So I'll push pause, and Sydney's going to tell you a little bit about her intern project.
Okay, so this is all very new. Just started kind of coming up with these ideas for a project I had to do a few days ago, actually. But I would like to start a program, like maybe lasting a few weeks, where we take people with disabilities and they help to train shelter dogs, where we would bring in a trainer either from this is all just ideas, I'm not 100% sure on anything, where you bring in a trainer that a shelter has, like a humane society, or one from a different training program, and they would come in and help teach the participants how to train like basic obedience commands to these dogs. And they would be able to, the participants would hopefully have dogs at home, would be the aim for it. And then they would go home and use these techniques they've learned on their own animals, because they wouldn't want to be able to bring in their own animals and then not be sure how they would interact with each other, versus letting a shelter pick out dogs they know would be compatible with this project. And I think that's the gist of it. I don't think I've missed anything out. But yeah, so I just kind of came up with all this. I'm in the process of planning and contacting people and narrowing down everything we're going to need for it. But yeah.
Backtracking to our fitness, we also have what's called the Miracle League that we participate in, and it's run through the YMCA here in town. But out at Shiloh Park, we get together on Tuesdays and play some baseball with some other folks. For instance, Lord's Legacy, Cardinal Hill has a team, Employment Solutions. So a lot of the adult daycares, as well as Parks and Recreation, in our group of adult fitness goers meet out there at the ballpark and play baseball, and our group really enjoys doing that. So this fall, we also plan on doing a drama group, and that's on Wednesdays. I wish I could show you. I don't know. Yeah, I don't know how long it would take me to pull up our Hamilton video. I don't know if y'all are familiar with the Broadway production Hamilton, but we took one of the songs from there, the My Shot, and we reenacted it, and it turned out to be really, really good. And the participants really enjoyed learning about that and performing that. And we did a video to that. So I'll have to send it to you all. We hope to get back to adapted aquatics, which is at the Beaumont YMCA. Since we haven't been swimming the past several semesters, we're not for sure. It's kind of up in the air with whether or not we're able to just go in and swim the times that we normally would swim, but we're able to help out 3 groups of 5 individuals, working one-on-one with them for about 30 minutes to improve, I guess first and foremost, make sure they're safe in the water, but also encourage them to improve their swimming ability and make sure they're safe in the water. But also, I mean, if they're a really good, or if they're a decent swimmer, just improve upon the strokes and get them moving. So some other things that we're doing in accordance to the other things, the first that I talked about were in person. We're also doing Zoom. We're currently doing Zoom right now with some story time. We read stories in the morning at 10 o'clock, as well as we cook together. And that's been a lot of fun, going into people's homes, not so much with their computer on, and seeing the participant and their mom or dad, the participant and their caregiver working in their house together to make a dish or something. And sometimes we have even asked the participants to lead our cooking class, a family recipe or just a good recipe. So that's been good. Another program that they've really enjoyed, which is probably no surprise, is a bingo. And we play bingo on the computer via Zoom, and they really enjoy that. So some of the other programs that we're not providing this fall, but we have done in the past and we hope to do again, is kayaking. We have kayaks, and we do that out at Jacobson Park. We've golfed before, and we hope to golf again. And we've done piano, and we've sung in a choir together. And we've also done Everybody Dance, which is a dance class for adults. And we actually, the performance, we work on a dance all semester, and then we get to perform on the stage down at on Broadway, whatever the stage is called down there. I can't think of the name of it. Close to Rupp Arena as well. So that's therapeutic recreation in a nutshell. Do you all have any questions or anything for Sydney or myself?
Okay. Chris has a question, if you want to unmute yourself.
Hi, my name is Chris.
Thank you.
Thanks for being here today. I have multiple questions, actually, if that's okay.
Yeah.
First, the one I'm most enthusiastic about is the dog training one. Okay. That's not a surprise to people from the council who know me, but how big a class do you envision that being? And
so sorry
yeah.
to interrupt you.
Go ahead.
Sorry, pretty small, just so we could, because we've never done anything like it before, and I'm not sure how comfortable the shelters will be, like providing a lot of people. We need to make sure. I'd like it to be a one-on-one with each participant, having at least one volunteer, one person per participant, just to make sure that all goes over well. So we were thinking about maybe 5 for now, and hopefully if this work goes out well and works out, then it could become a bigger program. But for now, as the pilot program, maybe about 5 or so.
Yeah, because I'll have to tell you, I'm sorry, am I unmuted here? Yeah.
Yes.
I'm very interested in that kind of thing, but I'm also very, very aware of the COVID risks and particular ones that I might have. And so that's kind of, would be an issue to me in participating, but I think it's a fabulous idea. And I believe I heard you say that your idea is to work with people with disabilities.
Yes.
And that kind of leads into my next question, which is, that's the only program that I heard specifically refer to people with disabilities. Were any of the other things that you mentioned have a focus or, part of their activity working with disabled individuals or not?
Yes, all our programs are designed for folks with disabilities.
Okay.
So
Because I think
circle back on the thing you're talking about with the COVID precautions. I forgot
Yeah.
to mention it, but I was going to say, so the plan, if we were need to go virtually, hopefully we could have the instructors still participate and people, the participants could train their dogs at home over Zoom. What was my thought for if it were to need to go virtually, if that was.
Yeah. I just have a mental picture of that. I'm sorry. I was wondering, is there a website that we can be referred to for a list of your programs and things? I mean, I've heard of the Department of Parks and Recs before, but never a therapeutic recreation section of it. And so I'd kind of like to be able to kind of at my leisure look through some of these things.
Okay, www. I don't know if you have a pen.
I do, yeah.
www.lexington ky
Mm-hmm.
.gov and then /TR.
Okay. Yeah.
And you'll see Jill Farmer's email address as well as Brent Claiborne's email address, and feel free to get in touch with us or call us, email us if you have any further questions.
Okay. I also would like on the dog stuff to either offer my email or something for as you develop this to see if it's something that I could, fit into as a participant.
Okay. Yeah.
So I don't know how we can make that kind of connection, if Theresa can forward my information or what.
I certainly can. And
Okay.
I can email Brent with your email address. I can copy you on it, Chris.
Okay.
And then that way y'all can communicate directly.
Okay. I've got one last question, please. Do you have anything to do with fishing?
We have fished before. we don't necessarily have a fishing program. But we have fished as a group together before, and that is always fun, challenging, but very fun and entertaining. So,
yeah.
Is that something that you have interest in?
Oh yeah, my friend and I go every weekend, and it's really a challenge. My visual loss, I'm low vision. I do have some vision, and that has been fairly recent within the last couple of years. But of course, I've been fishing since I was a kid, and it's one of the things that I can't tell you what boost that is to my mood and my psyche in general, to be able to do something like that you've done, as a child and did all those years as a sighted person. And you know what, I can still bring one in. So that's something I'll watch the website for too. I hope maybe someday you can bring that back. I think I saw a reference somewhere online to an actual like little class for fishing for blind people. Was that something locally or something I saw somewhere else?
I'm not familiar.
Somewhere else.
Yeah,
Yeah.
sounds like a great program. But where do you fish?
We fish at a little 3-acre pond in Nicholasville.
All right, all right.
I'm sorry, I can't give away my secret fishing spot,
And that's all right.
but it is Nicholasville. Yeah.
I don't know if you're familiar with Lake Ellersby, but it's like that private lake out by Jacobson Park. And one of the participants that I work with, and his father and his family are members out there. So we did a Zoom fishing session, and he caught several really good sized catfish, and that was fun.
That's what I like to fish for, is catfish.
Yeah. Hi, Marty.
Hey, how's it going?
Okay.
Better late than never, right?
I'm going to stop dominating with my questions. So I appreciate you guys being here and talking with me, and I'll look forward to maybe getting some kind of email or contact from you about the dog stuff. Okay.
Sounds good.
Thank you for your interest in my potential program.
All right. Thanks.
Thank you.
Brett, this is Theresa. I do have a question. Something that many people have asked me when I told them about this program that we were doing today and working with you all. And a lot of them ask the question, have you all worked with people who are blind or have low vision, and how do you accommodate or adapt your programs for people with vision impairments? Do you provide additional assistance, or is that something that you gave a lot of different things like archery and things that are very visually involved? Do you have like beeping archery targets so people can use an audible system or anything like that?
Gosh, that's a great question. In archery, we have not had anybody with a visual impairment, but if we would, if somebody with a visual impairment signed up for archery, we would try to make accommodations for them so that they could enjoy it and be successful with it. I feel like we've worked with a few folks with visual impairments with our baseball and fitness, and try to, the baseball's on a tee, and it's a big baseball. It's a yellow baseball. So we try to make accommodations. I'm sure we could do a better job with some of our with that. But our experience with folks with visual impairments is probably not a lot. But we welcome those, and would love to collaborate with you all if there's ever opportunity to collaborate.
Well, we would be happy to lend any information or ideas or thoughts on how to accommodate if that's ever a need for you. We'd be happy to work with you.
That'd be great.
Something you could do for that, or for the target, is maybe put a beeper or some kind of beeping device.
Okay.
On the beeper, where they could hear what they're where they're aiming at, and then shoot at the sound. That's how they do it. That's how blind people do it.
Okay.
Yeah.
If I may, Nazelle has her hand raised. If you would unmute yourself, you can go ahead and ask your question next. And as a point of order, we have 2 new people who have joined the meeting via phone. I've went ahead and changed your usernames, but if the person with the telephone ending in 2323 would tell me their name, I can put their proper name in here. And then
Marty.
Okay, Marty. And then the phone number ending 1723. If you could tell me your name as well. Or if you're comfortable with being guest 1723, that's fine also. Nazelle, I guess we'll go ahead and go with you next, if you're still here. And I'm going to go ahead and mute everybody else.
I'm down to 3.
Nazelle may be looking to unmute.
What's if you could refresh our memory, because I can't remember off the top of my head. What's the phone command for that?
*6.
Okay, there you go.
Okay, now I'm sorry. I thought
There she
that
is.
I unmuted
No, you're fine.
myself. I apologize. My question was concerning the weight room at Dunbar Center. Is that open on a daily basis right now to the public? I know my son comes over and shoots basketball a lot, but I had no idea there was a weight room over there. So
There are 2 weight rooms. There's a weight room with free weights, bench press, and some machines, as well as a weight room that has a lot of cardiovascular, like your treadmills and your ellipticals and your bike. And I'm not for sure the hours. That would be on the website, but I'm thinking it's like 8 to 5 or 6.
okay.
That you
And
could,
is there? Go ahead. I'm sorry.
no.
Is there a fee to access that weight room?
No, ma'am. It's
Okay.
free for the public.
Oh, all right. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Are those machines accessible? Do they have tactile markings on them? Do you know? And if not, do you have facility volunteers or staff that will assist people that might need help getting those going?
That might be something we need to collaborate with.
Okay.
When we go in the weight room, we'll have staff with our group and assist with anybody who needs any help with learning the machines or doing the machines. But right now, for the public to come in, I believe we just have one staff member that makes sure people sign in, and then I guess they lift weight at their own risk. So
Okay. So if somebody with a vision impairment wanted to, they could contact you and maybe sign up for the group classes to have assistance to learn to use them.
that's
Is that
correct.
correct?
Yeah.
Okay.
And then, gosh, like I said, we would love help with how to make the machines more so that folks with visual impairments could use them.
Okay. Yeah, we can definitely collaborate with you on that as well. I did that with the senior center,
Okay.
and their machines were already very tactile and very easy to use with a vision impairment with little to no assistance. So it'd be great to see if the ones that you all have there are that way. I know most gymnasiums and other fitness centers do not, but we'd be happy to work with you and see what we can do to help out.
That would be great. And is that Theresa? Is it?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay. Awesome.
Did we have any other questions? Anyone with a hand raised?
No, and I just wanted to say I've got it spotlighted on you guys so that we don't accidentally expose anybody's personal information who joins the meeting. That's why you didn't see who was speaking.
Oh, okay.
Changes during the Zoom meeting to whoever's speaking, but I set it not to do that at this particular.
Okay.
But yeah, we don't have anybody who has a hand raised, and as far as I can tell, we don't have anybody else who has a question. If anybody has a question, if you want to unmute yourself or raise your hand, now's your time.
If we don't have any other questions, we're going to go ahead and move forward with the second half. We thank you so much, Brent and Sydney, for being with us today and sharing the information on what LFUCG has available for people with disabilities and the therapeutic recreation. Again, the website was lexingtonky.gov and then /TR for therapeutic recreation. Is that correct?
That's correct.
Okay, and we can share that too in our newsletter when we put out our next September 1st newsletter. We'll share that information so people can look that up. And thanks so much for sharing your time with us. And we're going to go on and introduce Brandon with Tactile Training. And he's joining us from Pennsylvania, but has some great information that could be useful for people all across the country. So welcome, Brandon, and please go ahead and introduce yourself.
Well, thank you all so much for having me. I really appreciate you reaching out, Theresa, and invited me to speak here. Brent and Sydney, that was really great hearing about all the services that you have at your center. That sounds fantastic. And I love that we touched on fitness on the last part, because I think that it's going to tie in really nicely to what I specialize in and some of the services that I'm trying to help facilitate and make more accessible for the broader scale community. So a little bit about myself. I'm an inclusive fitness trainer. I'm also a certified personal trainer. I have my degree, my bachelor's degree in exercise science. I received it from the University of Delaware. I am technically an employee at the Comcast Fitness Center here, headquartered in Philadelphia. So to those of you who use our internet services, if you have a problem with it, don't reach out to me because I handle the fitness side of things. That is not my doing or my responsibility. So I don't want any angry emails. You don't like the cost or anything like that. And I'm also a resilience coach, which is more so been my transitionary position as we have kind of adapted into our virtual role. A lot of individuals have been struggling with mental health and as well as just staying physically active. So implementing resiliency coaching techniques has been a large proponent of what I have kind of taken on in the virtual role. So that being said, before I delve into a little bit more history about myself, I think it would be really great if we all actually practice a little bit of tactile training, and then I can explain a little bit more about how it got started and what it is and who the heck I actually am and where I come from. So what we're going to do is a breathing technique. I love doing this with everybody because it's really simple and it's very effective. So what we're all going to do is place our right hand on our heart. I'm going to try and lower my monitor for any of us who have low vision or can see what I'm doing. Right hand's going to go right over top of your heart. You can place your left hand right on top of your belly button. So we all have two hands, one on the chest, one on the lower belly. Now, what we are going to do is just take note as we take long, deep breaths in and out, where and which of our hands are moving. So as we breathe, take note, is your top hand moving? Is your bottom hand moving? Or are both hands moving? So if you're moving the top hand on the rib cage and the bottom hand, or if only the top hand is moving, this means we're not breathing properly. And what I mean by not breathing properly is we're not using exclusively our diaphragmatic muscles. So I want everybody to now try and focus on only moving that bottom hand. My belly's a little bit bigger because COVID has not been kind to me, so nobody laugh. But take big, deep breaths in and out through your belly only. And we want to try and minimize how much we feel our top hand moving. We really only want to feel the movement with that bottom hand as we expand in and out through the belly. And what we're doing right now is we're utilizing the muscles in our diaphragm, and they're responsible for inhalation and exhalation. So by practicing proper breathing, by using this technique, we can actually decrease our overall blood pressure. You can lower your heart rate and also decrease perceived stress throughout the day. And this is a really simple way that we can use the sense of feeling, re-educate ourselves in proper body mechanics. And these are the kinds of techniques that we utilize in some of the programs that I've come up with to help individuals who have limited or no sight. So to delve into a little bit about what it is that I do and some of the services that I offer, I'd like to first tell everybody a little bit about how I kind of came upon tactile training and what exactly it is. So I originally went to University of Delaware, and for my undergraduate studies, I studied exercise science. It's always been a passion of mine. And while I was there, I was introduced to adapted physical education by volunteering with a nonprofit organization called Yes You Can. For those of you who are interested in networking, it is run by one of my absolute best friends. Her name is Vicky George. She is a quadriplegic individual who has MS, and she is the individual who inspired me to take a route that was a little bit more, I guess, different, and inspired me to focus on working in an adapted sense with how I train individuals. So I did volunteer work with that organization for all 4 years of my undergraduate studies. And then from there, I continued to stay really in close touch with them. And I still do a lot of volunteer work with the organization. Vicky is a wonderful person. Again, if anybody wants to learn about what they do, their organization is called Yes You Can. You can find them at yesyoucan.org. Again, Vicky's phenomenal. I love everything that they do. And that is what inspired me to kind of continue to take a slightly different trend and route with what I ended up doing my career path. So I moved to Philadelphia after graduating, and I began working in a locomotor and gait rehabilitation laboratory at McGee and Jefferson Hospital. So what I did there is I actually re-educated individuals on how to walk after suffering a traumatic brain or spinal cord injury. And this lends itself to a wide variety of disabilities, whether we're talking about individuals who are somewhat paralyzed, maybe completely paralyzed. And I also worked hands-on by leading group fitness exercise programs in an adapted setting with, again, a wide variety of disabilities. And with that, I think the spirit and the educational element on how to be not only a coach, but to learn how to coach physical education in an adapted sense kind of stuck with me. And that is where I then eventually transitioned to my now corporate wellness job in Comcast. And from there, I met my first blind client, who is now one of my absolute favorite clients to work with. And I've been working with him for several years now. And this is how I got involved with my working with specifically the blind community. We trained in person for quite a while, and then COVID started. So we had then to transition to a virtual setting so that we could safely continue to train. And with that kind of came quite a few initial difficulties, because as many of you know who are working with limited or no vision, it is very difficult to exercise without being given physical cues or having somebody instruct you with some general things, at least at first. So we were limited to virtual training without me being able to provide physical cues or tactile feedback in person with my client. So this led us to having to create a unique way that we can instruct and describe movements so that individuals can learn without me being there to physically walk them through that. And some of the ways that we created this are essentially designed to use anatomical landmarks and positions that individuals can feel, hence the name tactile training, as opposed to things that would typically described with a cited imagery or something similar to that, which I know many individuals in the fitness field tend to do, and that can be very ostracizing and difficult to work with for a lot of individuals who are blind. So that being said, that is how tactile training came to be what it was. I've been working on creating very specific, descriptive, I guess, movement patterns and ways to use landmarks on your own body so that individuals can understand how to exercise in an educational way and make it as accessible as possible. So with that, I then expanded on this and began to create descriptive audio exercise programs for the blind community so that we can not only learn how to exercise and know that you're doing it correctly, but then actually implement those exercises into usable audio workout programs. And that is a lot of what I'm doing right now, is trying to create content that not only is very descriptive and makes sense, but it's very accessible to individuals, whether or not you have equipment at home. And that is essentially the baseline of where a lot of this came out. So I know Brenton, you and Sydney were talking about fitness training, and maybe they're not being individuals at the fitness center to lift weights. That being said, I would highly recommend whoever is going to be working on site to think about what movements feel like as opposed to what they would sound like or look like. It's a really, really useful thing to maybe close your eyes or at least think about how movements feel when describing them. And this is essentially the design, a little bit about my business and current offerings and things that individuals can utilize. Right now, I have a variety of exercise programs that are available for download. It is download only for the audio content. There's some free content on the website. My website is tactiletraining.com, spelled exactly how it sounds, TACTILE training.com. And once you go on the website, you can check everything out. There are a variety of audio programs. The free ones are movement and mobility based. So they're really designed about helping people feel better while sitting down. I know that we've all been sitting way more. I made the joke earlier about COVID not being nice to me. It definitely hasn't, partly because I've been sitting down way more than I ever have. So with that in mind, I tried to create very accessible content to help us stretch and feel a little bit more mobile throughout the day without having to even stand up. So there's some really great content there for free if you'd like to download that and learn how to stretch and learn a little bit about what it is that these audio programs are. There's also a Core Foundations audio workout program, as well as an upper body and a lower body baseline. None of these programs require any equipment at home. And they're also designed to take somebody who is deconditioned or not used to exercising all the way up to somebody who's at an intermediate to an advanced level with just body weight. So the program is designed, all of them, to have 3 levels of difficulty: level 1, level 2 for the intermediate, and level 3 for the more advanced individual. And each of the 3 paired workouts come with a paired audio descriptive library. So you can learn what the movements feel like, so you can know you're doing them correctly, because it will feel how it's supposed to feel. And that is the idea behind all of the audio programs. Aside from that, I also do offer virtual personal training for individuals. So if that is something anybody would like, the services are also on the website. And for everybody who is in this chat, there is a discount that's going to be up from now through Sunday. I put it in there. The promo is BCB 25. I'll put a link in here for everybody, but if you want, you can use it. And if you want to just download the free content, please do it. The more people that can learn how fitness is supposed to feel, the better. And that's pretty much the baseline of what I do. I would love to field some questions or see if anybody has any questions that they're interested in asking me about how this works. Everybody must feel pretty comfortable about their fitness regimen right now.
Oh, I'm not at all. I'm excited. I'm going to definitely check this out. I go to the gym with my husband. I need a lot of extra help, especially since COVID, and not sure I'm doing things properly. And I'm excited to find out about this and to give it a shot. I do work with a physical therapist for some balance issues and building some core strength, and that's been extremely helpful. And I'm excited to kind of continue some of that. So
that's wonderful. And I really do think that a big issue with fitness is that it's not very accessible, especially for the blind community. And I think that that is something I'm trying to really work on making inroads with. I do have a meeting with an individual who is a member with the American Council of the Blind, and I'm hoping to have a larger and more broad conversation about finding a way to get funding so I can help educate a wider variety of individuals on how to communicate movement and tactile movement best with individuals who are working with a variety of visual disabilities. I think the first hand to go up was David Weiss. So David, if you'd like to unmute yourself, I would love to hear your question.
Okay, can you hear me?
Absolutely.
Might be too specific for this forum, but so I lift weights. I'm trying to maybe do some strongman competitions. So the problem that I've got with the vision that I have and is there's like 0 depth perception. And where I'm currently working out at the power racks, instead of having pins or a shelf to put the squat bar on when I take it off, or if I'm doing overhead press, it's basically putting it into hooks. Now with the bar in front, if I miss it, it drops. But when I got 300-400 pounds on my back, getting it back on that squat rack is a little tricky at times. Do you have any, say, invite workarounds for that when I can't just look over at the pins and see where I'm at?
So my best advice for that, you have a vertical power rack, so you're essentially in a rectangle and you have vertical bars, and then you said you have a hook that you would have to catch both ends of the barbell on.
Yeah.
My best advice, honestly, would be to make sure you stay generally close to where you know the hooks are for your squat set or whatever set you're working with. But anytime you're going to be back racking heavy weight, I would walk forward until you feel it tap the wall. And generally, I try and trust myself with slowly going down until you feel the click. The best solution here, especially David, if you're lifting heavy, is to have a spotter, somebody be behind you who can help you back rack it. I know that anytime I lift heavy and anytime anybody starts lifting above body weight, you should absolutely have a proper spotter for safe mechanics of squatting and re-racking especially. That's the most dangerous part. So I would suggest getting a spotter. Somebody can put their hands outside the bar, walk in close to you, help make sure it hits the rack.
Yeah, the spotter would be nice. I have to work out at 5:30 in the morning, so oftentimes there's not many people in the weight room with me. But yeah, I don't like this setup on their power racks at the Y. I wish it had the pens or a shelf, but.
Are the individuals who work at the fitness center there? They'd be happy to probably help you.
5:30 in the morning, there's a sweet little retired lady that works the front desk, and the maintenance guy who's hungover.
You're working with limited resources here, man.
I'm doing the best I can. Yeah.
I'm not too sure if there's going to be any other solutions. I'd say having a spotter is probably
I try to not take too many steps back, but you got to get comfortable in the rack, and you think you're backing straight up, but you've really taken a step to the right, and then you put it up there, and the plate's clanging on the support, and when you got 3 wheels on there, that's a little unnerving.
I agree. Maybe you could coerce one of your coworkers to join you for your workout.
I don't think so.
I was gonna say that might be one of your best alternatives. I'm not quite sure if you're working with the 2 people that are there.
And then I got one other question: is when it comes to doing explosive box jumping, let's say, with the no depth perception, I've just got all kinds of trouble with that. I mean, you'd think it's easy enough. With step ups, I'll take a step back, so I know what my spacing is. With box jumps, it's a little bit dicier. Sometimes you hit the edge of the box, sometimes you jump and you miss. How do you ever work with your clients on that?
As far as doing things like that, it's definitely more beneficial to, again, have somebody be able to spot you, because we're talking again about hopping forward onto an unstable object. I mean, sighted or unsighted, depth perception or no depth perception, box jumps can be pretty dangerous exercises. So it's always, again, I need to cover myself here and say, always practice safety and have a spotter when possible. But my best recommendation would be for you to do a vertical unloaded explosive power movement for a low variety of repetitions. So whenever we're working with explosiveness, we're talking anywhere from 5 to maximum 8 repetitions. You want to go usually 2 to 5, but if you want to go a little higher to 6 to 8, that's fine. But you want to make sure you're resting anywhere from 2 to 5 minutes in between sets. But I would say maybe skip the box so we don't have to bring a potential danger in, because again, protecting ourselves is always going to be the most important thing. I would say try and do a vertical leap. And if you want to implement a little bit more of a challenge for power and explosiveness, you can always do a weighted straight vertical leap. So you can grab light dumbbells, maybe start with 5 pounds, hold them in either hand, focus on your hip hinge and the explosive movement forward with that. Does that sound like something you've tried before?
Actually, just the straight vertical leap. I always feel like I'm just shorting myself when I don't have the goal to jump up onto, like when you've got the 24-inch box. But no, that is a reasonable workaround, because normally I'll do something like that. I kind of, even though I'm lifting heavy, I'm doing basically giant sets, so I might do squat or deadlift, whatever, and then in between the sets I'm doing something along the lines of a swing or a box, something just to keep the muscles firing. And then there is a rest period in there, obviously, but it's kind of it's just an addition to the main mover work, movement, if you will. But yeah, I mean, it would work. That would work.
The other alternative I will give you, and then I don't want to bog down everybody else who isn't training to be a strongman here. You can always message me offline and we can talk. I love talking shop about this stuff. The other alternative would be if you have access to a suspension trainer or a TRX or something like that. It's phenomenal because you're going to get that tactile feedback with your hands, and you can go to a full extension away from the rack itself. And you can be offered a little bit of guidance as you explode up and land, because you'll know that you're going straight up and down. That is something I've used with my client, and it's been useful because it does serve as a guide point, because you'll feel if you're starting to miss your target. And again, you can focus on explosive vertical leaps. So that is something you could implement if you wanted to try something like that.
Yeah, I didn't think about that. That would work. We do have TRXs at the Y I could hook up. Okay.
I would try something like that. It might actually really help, and it will provide that tactile feedback so you can feel where you're headed and make sure that you're practicing that. And you can also maybe practice landing in the same place you started, which could help you with your consistency of where you're hopping. So you can maybe get to a point of confidence so you can know you can safely land a box jump because you know how it feels to jump vertically and maybe forward 6 to 12 inches.
Yeah, plus with when you get the tension on the TR, you get a little bit of response as to whether you're jumping high or you're just skipping off the ground. There's that feedback too. I didn't think about that.
Absolutely. So I'd suggest probably doing that. That might be your safest bet.
Okay.
Yeah. Thank you for the question. I hope that was productive and useful.
No, that was. Yeah, thanks.
Absolutely. Next person, let's go to Chris. Chris, what do you got for me?
Hi, thanks for that, David, for that example of him talking to a obviously level 3 person.
Definitely.
I mean, the last time that I moved 12 inches vertically, I think I was a child and I was jumping off the box. Okay. But
Same.
yeah, I just wanted to echo something that Theresa kind of alluded to, and that is, I don't think it's all, but I think some visually impaired people like myself kind of have some balance issues too. I don't really notice this, like when I go to events at the council, I don't really see this happening a lot with a lot of other people. But it does happen to me. And I don't mean when I say, a lot of times when we talk about orientation within the, blind or low vision community, we're talking about, how do you find this street, or how do you, find landmarks in the outside world. But also orientation for me sometimes is just knowing where my body is oriented in space. And I assume that maybe some core work would help with that. But I just wanted to suggest that with your interest in working with special needs people, is that I think that's included amongst needs for some, anyway, vision impaired people.
I absolutely agree. And I want to say thank you for the question, Chris. So a lot of the content that is out there right now that I've already put out, a lot of what it will do is secondarily benefit your balance. I'm going to eventually, most likely, now that you're mentioning it, and this is going to be a stronger request, maybe create a specific audio program for exclusively balance. But typically with clients such as the one that I've been working with for the past 2.5-3 years, his balance has improved tremendously. And a lot of what that comes from is strengthening your hips, your glutes, because your glutes are going to be responsible for lateral movement, which if we think about how we move throughout the day, we almost horrendously neglect moving in any direction aside from forward and backwards. We sit down, we stand up, we're still going forward. We turn around and then we walk straight, we walk back. We almost never rotate and we almost never move laterally. And the muscles that are required for that lateral movement are a part of something that is in the exercise programs that I put together. And a big proponent of this also comes from having a strong core. So having a strong core also ties into the musculature at the hips. And there is a lower body program that I've put together that I am confident will improve balance as our legs strengthen, because there's a lot of secondary muscle groups that I focus on specifically for individuals who are working with limited usage of them. So your medial and your minor glute muscles play a huge part in lateral balance, especially while we're on one foot. And there's specific exercises in the lower body program that I picked that are approachable for everybody, regardless of what level you're at, involving side-lying leg raises, which really strengthen your medial glute, which will make you a lot more stable while walking and prevent you from having any random slips, trips, and falls. And then the last thing about balance that ties in specifically to individuals in the blind community, if you use a cane, if you use a mobility aid of any sort, this tends to put your shoulders in a forward rounded position, which will make your chest tight. And it also makes your scapular muscles lengthened and weaker. So a lot of the work that's also involved in the upper body program I put together will help open your chest back up and reintroduce a more proper posture. And all of these things compound into poor balance with blind individuals. I see Teresa's resetting her posture right now. Everybody does it when we
Yes.
talk about it.
You weren't supposed to tell that.
Everybody does it. I just did it. So these are all things that are addressed in the program. I will eventually put together exclusively a balance program that's very descriptive in nature. But I assure you, if you stick with those 3 general things and those programs, it will have a tremendous impact on your overall balance.
That sounds fantastic, and I'm also going to be visiting your website.
Please
Thanks.
do. Any and all feedback as well is appreciated. The more information I can get and the more feedback I can get about the content that's out there, the better I can make it for everybody and the more accessible I can continue to make exercise for the blind community. I'm going to move on to Marty. What is your question? I'm excited to field this one.
Marty, you'll need to unmute.
Yes, the *6, I believe.
Mhm.
There we go, finally.
There you are.
I kept trying to hit the *6 and kept hitting *3 and stuff. Anyway, my question is this. I used to lift weights, back in the day, and I haven't been lifting for a while. And my doctor told me to cut out, deadlifting because I was, twisting my back up, and I got scoliosis now from it. But my question is this, all right, how can I got this bad knee right now too, so that might have something to do with it. But like the other day, I was cleaning my cat box, and I lifted up this 30-pound bag of cat litter, which is no big deal usually, and and the next day I got to pull muscle in my arm. Now, how do I do that without I know I'm supposed to lift with my legs mostly, but with that bad knee, it's hard to do, and so I'm just wondering do you have any suggestions on how to do that without pulling a muscle?
Right. So a lot of this comes from movement mechanics. And Marty, it sounds like over the years, movement mechanics have broken down a little bit, whether it be from scoliosis, weak core control, or a variety of different things. And I will say one of the primary and most common things that all of us are doing right now, which in my opinion is one of the worst things for our body, is we sit down a whole lot. And with being in a seated position all day, this can lead to a lot of problems, whether it be a chronic weakening of the glute muscles, which will then cause back issues, low back pain. The probability of tweaking or throwing out your low back is very common when we have weak glute muscles. And if you think about how we're sitting right now, you have a 90-degree bend, which if you put your hand down on your hips where your thighs meet your belly, you can feel a 90-degree bend. It feels like where 2 walls meet. That 90-degree bend that we're sitting in, if you think about your butt, both your butt cheeks are in a lengthened position right now. They're the opposite of being in that tight bent position. So in this long, weak position. So a really good way to improve your ability to pick up objects and to strengthen your core and to prevent yourself from maybe throwing out your back, maybe overstraining an upper body exercise, is to really strengthen your glute muscles. It seems very counterintuitive, but strengthening your glutes will actually create the proper hip mechanic that will allow you to safely use your legs when we're picking up objects. Does that generally seem to make sense?
Yeah, it does. So you're talking about like sit-ups and crunches and things like that?
I'm more so referring to an exercise such as like a glute bridge, or maybe like a air squat to a sit down in your chair. Things like that are really effective for strengthening your legs. Having a strong core is also a big part of it. But I would say as far as targeting the glute muscles, if you've ever done a glute bridge or a hip thrust, the way you would do this is you would lie down supine, so flat on your back, and then you place both feet directly close underneath your bottom, and you press down and drive your hips up high to the sky.
Yeah, I've done them. I know. I do it in physical therapy. I know what it's about.
I'm sure they make you do those. Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, that's one thing.
So
okay, thanks.
I think introducing a lot more glute strength movements is a really good way to start, as well as improving core strength. But aside from that, without me knowing more medical background and safety, I can't safely recommend exercise because I do need to respect my scope of practice, and I don't want to tell you to do something and contraindicate any exercise. This would have to, again, be somewhere. If you have more specific questions, you can shoot me an email and I'm happy to talk shop with you.
Okay, not a problem. Thanks.
Thank you very much.
All right.
This is Theresa. That's all dead on what my physical therapist has been telling me and training me to do during COVID, just sitting far more than we ever did before. And those are the exact exercises she has me doing are the glute bridges and strengthening the hips and the core, but you know, it's all primarily right around the thighs and hips and behind to help me with the balance, which because of my vision impairment, I have nystagmus, which my eyes shift and move. And we've figured out in a lot of my physical therapy that a lot of my balance issues has to do more with my vision than my body. But having my body in a very strengthened and toned state helps me keep have less issues from my vision. I'm able to, my body's strong and able to hold myself in more balanced positions where my eyes are trying to kind of pull me off balance. So it's definitely making a big difference. And I hope to be able to continue that after my physical therapy, because of course with insurance you only get like 12 weeks of physical therapy. So
Exactly. And that's always part of it, but it sounds like you're ready to also be a personal trainer as well, Theresa. You seem to know the groundwork here.
no, but I enjoy working with a personal trainer. In many years back, I worked with personal trainers back when my kids were little, and now that they're all grown and getting married, and I'm getting older and putting on those senior pounds and the COVID-15 and all of that. I'm ready to get back into the physical therapy and then move back into maybe working with somebody like you that can kind of help me keep me on track.
Well, absolutely. And I am here if that is something you want. And again, that is kind of the overarching goal, and the message here is I really think that as a large just proponent, the fitness industry and individuals who are personal trainers have really missed the mark as far as making fitness accessible and doing a good job of making it just descriptive. And again, we can even talk about fitness centers themselves, and the lack of ADA compliance is just gross across the board, across the US, doesn't matter where you go. But it's on a micro level too, with individuals, trainers, and staff not being there, not being willing, and not being knowledgeable on how to approach assisting individuals. So that is, again, something I'm trying to work with a large variety of people with. I'm really hoping to just continue expanding the information that I have, and hope to continue creating content. So in any way that anybody has questions, comments, if you do download the content, please feel free to reach out to me specifically if you have further requests. I plan to keep making as much stuff as possible. My dream would be able to do this full-time and not have to work my full-time job. I would love to just spend all of my time helping as much content be developed and help as many people exercise as possible. So in any way that I can do that, I would love to. Does anybody have any other questions for me?
This is Richard. Would you be so kind as to put the website and the promo code and your contact information in the chat so that I can make a note of it?
Absolutely.
Thank you.
Let me put this right here.
This is Theresa again. Have you ever created content that's like for training trainers or training people that lead classes to teach them how to audio describe what they're doing? I think that would be more helpful than anything, is, to make that available, and then we can refer our gyms and, like our senior center has a phenomenal facility and classes, but a lot of their people that work there need to be educated on how to explain it and how to tell people how it should feel, and not, do this and show them. You need to explain what you're doing. So have you thought about making content for the professionals?
I love that you just brought this question up. I recently did a podcast with an individual who is blind, and it's called Aaron's Opinion. I don't know if anybody here has heard of it, but he's a really nice guy. And he invited me to be a guest on his channel, and he had suggested that I start getting more involved with schools on a local basis so that I can try and educate PE teachers on how to describe things to the blind individuals. Because again, this is something that it took me a very long time to understand how to describe what things feel like as opposed to what they look like, or to even just kind of continually just physically guide somebody through a movement. It's more so about them being able to replicate it, duplicate it, and build that confidence and build that self-efficacy, knowing that I can do this and I know what it feels like and I can do it right without a trainer. Because, you know, that's not my end goal, is to have to train somebody forever. I want people to feel as if they can do this themselves. So that is something I'm working on. Again, I'm working with Tony, who is the director of development with the American Council of the Blind. I have a meeting with him this Friday, and I'm really hoping that I can facilitate some sort of agreement, whether it be grant funding or some sort of way that I can get involved with the educational process. So this is a direction I'd like to head. Whether this be content that I create for trainers, or maybe I fly to different schools or to locations and try and help individuals learn how to approach and describe movements in a more effective manner. That is absolutely something I'm working on. And I, again, want this to be my full-time job. So the more that I can get involved in this and the more ideas everybody can continue to throw at me, the better. I'm just happy to be helping and being a part of this, but that is certainly something I'm trying to work on.
We have a program here in Lexington called The Caring Place, and they offer some virtual classes because of the pandemic. She offers a Tai Chi class, and we're actually working with her tomorrow. She's going to practice with those of us here at BCB that are visually impaired on her audio description techniques, because she wants to be able to provide those classes through her program, where they are very accessible for people with vision impairments to participate. And that's kind of what made me think, you know, if you had some material that was available to professionals to download on audio description and how to tell them how to explain to others, you know, that would be extremely helpful. I've been working with my physical therapist, teaching her how to describe, and you know, she's telling me how it should feel like. You know, I'm like, okay, this is what I'm feeling and doing, and she's like, no, it should feel like this, and you should feel it here. And so one-on-one, I'm kind of training her,
Right.
and we can all kind of try to do that as we work with different professionals to help them learn to use the audio description to help us learn. And but I think content like that could be extremely helpful across the board.
I really do agree. And I think that you're even bringing in another expansive idea that I should consider, and I'm going to try and work on. I think maybe creating content for physical therapists who are working with individuals. So maybe it's even a 10-minute thing that can be listened to, so they can start getting their gears turned in the right direction, so they can start thinking about how would I describe this if I didn't have vision, and what would it feel like to me? Because that is really like the whole process of me introducing a new movement or a new exercise with my clients. It really does involve me having to close my eyes and feel the mechanics of it, because I know what it should look and feel like, but exclusively isolating that and then learning what is the best possible description I can give of it, and then using anatomical references. I think that's a tremendous idea, and I will certainly capitalize on making that a reality. And I think that'll be something that I have shortly.
Continuing education credits. Maybe it's something you could provide as a CEU class that professionals would be able to take.
I think that's a great idea. I'm gonna have to get involved in some school boards here, but I think they'd be happy to do this. And again, these are all the things that I'm trying to get myself involved in. So I'm going to be taking notes about this, because I think that's actually a fantastic idea. Do you have any other future ideas for me to take here? You seem to be perfect brainstorming partner right now.
Well, I'll be reaching out to you on a personal note about personal training and things like that, but I'll be happy to share any other ideas that I come up with.
I love it. I'm going to link my website, and it also has the discount code. So if you follow this, it will automatically have it applied, but I'm also going to post it in chat. I made it as simple as possible for everybody. It's BCB 25. So if you go to check out and it's for whatever reason not applied, you can do that. Again, download the free content first. If you want to just check out what my audio content sounds like and how it will make you feel, do that first and get a feel for it. I hope everybody enjoys it. And then you can reach me. I'm going to post my email in here. It's getfit@tactiletraining.com. That's my email. And then the website, I'm just going to, well, I guess the link's already there, so everybody can follow that. Does anybody else have any other questions? I know that I've been trying to answer these to the best of my ability. And again, all the programs that I have, they're completely accessible. You need no equipment other than things you would find in your house, like a towel or maybe a set of stairs, things like that, or a chair. Again, the idea is accessibility. Does anybody have anything else for me?
Richard, do you have any hands up or anybody that wants to unmute and ask?
I see no hands, and our guest here has done an excellent job of keeping an eye on that as well.
Great, thank you.
Well,
Well, Brandon, we thank you. Thank you so much. This has been extremely interesting for me, and it sounds like for many of our attendees here, and I'm sure it's going to be very interesting for those that weren't able to join us and will be viewing it later. And thank you so much for your time and all the great advice that you've given and information. We definitely will be sharing that in our newsletter also. Thanks for the discount code. I know I'll take advantage of that, BCB 25. And we'll definitely stay in touch. Thanks for being with us. Thanks to everybody that joined us online. We're going to go ahead and sign off. Richard, if you want to stop the recording.